Hi there, I'm Cody Rademacher. I'm the curator here at the Holocaust Museum and Cohen Education Center in Naples, Florida. Today is April 29th, and that is a particularly unique day when it comes to our current temporary exhibit, Through Their Eyes, the Liberation of Concentration Camps. Today is the actual liberation anniversary for Dachau Concentration Camp. And because of that, I thought this would be a good day to show you what we have on display relating to Dachau and its subcamps. So if you'll join me, the materials are a little graphic, so do keep that in mind as we go through them. So let's take a look. So as you can see here, we actually start the exhibition space talking about Dachau, and in particular our liberators and a survivor that was there during it. So we wanted to make sure that we highlighted the direct words of liberators and survivors who are associated with this date. From there, we talk a little bit about Dachau and its system, its network. It was founded in 1933. It was actually the very first concentration camp to be founded by the Nazi government, and eventually grew from there. Originally it had only political prisoners, such as communists, and bit by bit they had new sites developed, new labor sites, and eventually over 150,000, approximately 188,000 people were held in the concentration camp system that Dachau oversaw. From there, we have a 12-year span that they were actually operating. We get to April of 45. Three divisions, I should say, took part in the liberation of Dachau itself, the main camp. That would be the 42nd, the 45th, and the 20th Armored. So these units all came in within about 48 hours of the initial discovery of the camp itself. And when they were there, they discovered 31,000 people were still at the camp, alive, and needed dire treatments. They needed special care, and they had to take a lot of precautions as well to prevent them getting diseases that were rampant in camps like Dachau. And in total, as part of the liberation of the network, there was about 68,000 people in total. So about almost half of them were at the main camp of Dachau. It's hard to imagine like one camp system holding about a small city's worth of people. But I mean, it was very real, and it definitely happened. So let's take a look at some of the materials we actually have in the case. So we actually had quite a few collections that were connected to liberation of Dachau. One of the most notable and has some of the most unique materials is actually for the Michael Puglisi collection, one of our oldest collections. These are all materials related to Sergeant Joseph Damon and the 20th Armored. That includes a map that actually depicted their entire time in Europe, in the continent of Europe, from Le Havre to Salzburg. It also includes pictures Sergeant Damon took himself at Dachau. So not only was he documenting what his unit was doing, but also what he saw himself when in the camps. Speaking of photos, next to this is the Leonor Suarez collection, or at least one of the images in the Leonor Suarez collection. And this is actually an outside view of the crematorium of Dachau. If you've ever been, it actually still has crematoria there. And if you see in here, you can see both the chimney, you can see U.S. personnel there, and also, unfortunately, a stack of bodies that are most likely just awaiting disposal. And from there, we actually have some of the earliest shots from the liberation of Dachau. This is what is known as the Dachau Death Train. This was about 40 boxcars of various types that held human remains that were abandoned by the Nazis as they fled. Powerful stuff. I can only imagine the shock and the horror that our liberators felt, because I know it's certainly shocking to me when we first received these items from an anonymous donor. He just left them at the museum. We were We've tried to figure out who did it, but we're just fortunate that we have them. So let's end on something a little more positive. Our last item connected to Dachau today is the Curator collection. It's actually a loaned collection. It's actually of a Dr. J. Robert Hudson, who was part of the 45th Infantry Division that liberated Dachau. His medical battalion was actually one of the first to treat prisoners. And in gratitude for the treatment, the life-saving treatment, mind you, that soldiers like him provided, a Hungarian survivor named Georgi Bayfeld, who was held there, painted his portrait. The original is still owned by Jane's son, but Jane had a duplicate produced and actually lent it to the museum. So we're very grateful to Jane and her family for providing us such a wonderful piece to discuss the medical side of Dachau and the liberation thereof. So there you have it, everyone. That is our section on Dachau. We hope that seeing this and our future videos on the liberation of concentration camps will help you better understand what was there, what people saw, what people experienced, and ultimately help inspire you to work against bigotry, hatred, and violence in our society. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you in the museum soon.